Pre-recorded lecture for Objects as History titled Prehistoric Tools, Designing Tools, Redesigning Ourselves. This week, we'll be exploring fundamental questions through our examination of prehistoric objects, those objects made by the first human beings millions of years ago. We'll be thinking about what it means to be human, our nature, human nature, and our cognitive abilities, the nature of the human mind and workings of the human mind. Since we are not the only human species, we will also be using the material evidence, the objects, to try to identify the moment that modern cognition developed and why. A lot of archaeologists, paleoanthropologists, people who study the prehistoric period, they're driven, motivated by the question of trying to figure out when it is that we first started to behave like we do now, right? When can we identify the beginnings of modern thought and cognition? When did it start, right? And this is because we are invested in the idea that Homo sapiens, that's our species, are special, unique. And this is inherent in the very name we give to our species. Sapien, or in the Latin sapiens, means knowing, right? And by assigning ourselves that name, giving our species that name, it suggests that what distinguishes us from other human species, or more commonly called hominin species, and other living species, plants, animals, right, is our brains and the way that we think. Right? So if those aren't already big questions, right, we're also going to be asking a more controversial question of whether we are still human, right? I mean, are we different or the same than our early forebears? For there is a long-standing debate about whether the things we design, especially technology, actually redesigns us. Right? Whether technology and engagement with technological design and tools actually plays a critical part in human evolution. And so in this lecture, just to give you a sense of the chronology that we'll be dealing with, right, we're going to be looking at the beginnings of the Paleolithic period, almost 3 million years ago, 3 million years ago, when the first stone tools appeared in the archaeological record. This is at the same moment in time we find in the material record, the biological record, evidence of human skeletal remains, right? So these things are contemporaneous and coincide, the appearance of humans and the appearance of stone tools. To orient you, right, these are the stone tools. Next week, we'll be thinking about human cognition from a different perspective, and we'll be looking specifically at symbolic thinking, and we'll be focusing on the Upper Paleolithic period and going into the Neolithic period, which coincides with the invention and development of agriculture, right? And this all predates the invention of writing and what is called the urban revolution, when people first started living in cities, right? In the Neolithic, we have agriculture in villages, and the Paleolithic, nomadic, hunter-gatherer communities. This is another timeline giving you a sense of the divisions of periods within the Paleolithic, and also other names for the ages. Paleo lithic, right? Lithic is in Greek refers to is the word for stone, right? So this is also known as the Stone Age, and the Neolithic is the New Stone Age, Old Stone Age, New Stone Age, right? Middle Stone Age, Mesolithic, right? So, right, when does the human story begin? Right? Fossil evidence indicates that bipedal hominins, I mean, what distinguishes us from other primates, Australopithecines, right, is the fact that we walk upright on 2 feet. We are bipedal. And as far as the fossil evidence goes, we emerged, we appeared on Earth in Africa from ape ancestry. We evolved from apes 6 million years ago. And there were a number of different hominin species, possibly a dozen are known to have existed between 6 million years ago and 1.5 million years ago. At 1.5 million years ago, it is a fact of history that we are the only hominin species to survive. All the others die out, and we continue still, right, to this day. Our own genus, Homo, emerged around 2 million years ago. And at some point, right, you can see that Australopithecus is not part of the Homo genus, right? So this is a kind of middling figure, right, between apes and humans, but could be seen as one of the earliest humans. This is 6 million years ago, but the genus Homo emerges 2 million years ago. And at some points in time, multiple hominin species coexisted, right? So, for example, when we appear on the scene, Homo sapiens, we live in the same world together in Africa with Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and another species not pictured here, Homo heidelbergensis. Right, so we're actually, it's really interesting to think that different human species were alive at the same time. Right, so Africa, right, is the site of the earliest human occupation, right? We come from Africa, and it's worth pausing just for a moment to sit with that fact, right? Given, right, the United States history of segregation, our current ongoing systems of oppression against that work against Black Americans, and our country's inability to reckon with its history of slavery. I just want to take a moment to reflect on the fact that actually every single one of us comes from Africa. Right, humans. This is the beginning of the human story. Right, it's here. By 20,000 BCE, interestingly, so in the course of about 2 million years, humans had actually migrated from Africa, and I'll say a little bit more about this, and had settled on every continent at that time, except Antarctica. We should remember that the shape of land formations was not the same as it is today. 2 million years ago, right, due to continental drift, the shifting of tectonic plates, right, the continents had a slightly different form. But, right, humans existed, right, across, right, the known landmass of the world at that time. Okay? One of the earliest things humans ever consciously made were stone tools. And the first stone tools were found in a place called